Chapter 41, Shocking Performance. Yang Wu, congratulations on completing the first layer of the trial tower. Next up is the second level, Stage A of the trial tower. Your objective is to kill 50 elementary beast general level ironclad scorpions within 10 minutes. Good luck. The virtual voice rolled across the desert. Ironclad scorpions were common in sands, small, numerous, and notoriously evasive. More than a dozen could swarm a single person at once, and their twisting movements made them difficult opponents. For most contestants, Stage A of the second level would be far tougher than the earlier tests. For Yang Wu, it was different. After comprehending perfect level body movement, the elementary beast generals were slow and weak by comparison. 50 of them was nothing. Rustle, dark red carapaces broke the surface of the sand. The scorpions burrowed as easily as a fish slips through water. Each had a jet-black, cone-shaped tail tipped like a spear. The tail alone promised a painful sting. Trial Tower, second level, Stage A trial begins, the voice declared. Yang Wu moved as the first wave lunged. More than a dozen scorpions burst from the sand at once, claws and tails flashing. He didn't hesitate. Every step, every swing, every angle was already calculated, not by conscious thought, but by muscle and instinct. Where ordinary fighters would hesitate to track positions and trajectories, Yang Wu's perfect level body movement let him execute flawlessly without thinking. His blade flashed. The scorpions were cut down with a series of clean motions that used their momentum against them. In minutes, the sand was quiet again. Time taken, 4 minutes and 4 seconds. Killed 50 elementary beast general level ironclad scorpions. Second level, Stage A trial passed. Congratulations, student Yang Wu. A murmur rippled through the spectators. The ranking board refreshed. It changed, someone said. His rank went up. How? Impossible. Unbelievable. Yang Wu actually jumped to 81st place. Nearly 100 students erupted. Quick, tell the inspector, someone shouted. Outside the ninefold tower, Zhang Fang, the famed moon demoness, watched with a smile. Her twin scimitars were feared across the God of War circles. She had spent almost 10 years at the elite training camp, studying the blade and teaching at the dojo of limits. Her greatest pleasure was watching her students excel, especially when they surpassed pupils of rival teachers. A bald, lean man beside her grinned. Congratulations, Zhang. It's all thanks to Yang Wu's talent and comprehension. Zhang waved him off. Don't be silly. What can you really teach someone in a month? Still, she was clearly pleased. In all her years at the camp, she had guided many good students, but none had burst into the top 100 in their first month until now. In the entire history of the training camp, only 5 had done that. Now there was a 6th, and he was hers. A white-bearded strongman standing nearby, speaking Mandarin with a rough accent, chimed in. A good teacher produces good students. Back on the prairie, the trial tower's voice spoke again. Student Yang Wu, the second level, Stage B trial begins. Your objective is to kill 100 elementary beast general level ironclad scorpions within 15 minutes. Good luck. Stage B raised the stakes. Sheer numbers would overwhelm anyone who hadn't mastered perfect level body movement. For Yang Wu, it meant a more complicated choreography. He used the environment and the scorpions themselves, stepping on backs to leverage force, angling strikes so attackers collided, redirecting charges so the monsters struck one another. Even when dozens pressed him at once, they never found purchase. This was a higher mastery, controlling not just his own body but the battlefield. The ironclads fell, one calculated motion after another. Time taken, 8 minutes and 42 seconds, killed 100 elementary beast general level ironclad scorpions. Second level, Stage B trial passed. Congratulations, student Yang Wu. The Black Dragon rankings flashed again. Check it, his rank updated, someone yelled. What is it now? A student in the back asked. 68th, a white student blurted. He jumped to 68th place. The newcomer is terrifying, someone whispered. Maybe if we wait it could update again. Another hoped, but most shrugged. The interval between updates was short, and Yang Wu had just cleared a Stage B assessment. Stage C was where the real challenge lay. Fewer than 40 people in the entire camp could usually pass it. Student Yang Wu, the second level, Stage C trial begins, the voice announced. Your objective is to kill 200 ironclad scorpions within 20 minutes. Of these, 190 are elementary beast general level, and 10 are intermediate beast generals. Good luck. Yang Wu glanced at the horizon where the sand shivered with movement. He felt calm. Between his perfect level body movement and the thunderblade wielded at 4.2 times force, he had no doubt he could handle the swarm. The real test was how far he could push his limits. Chapter 42. Leaderboard changes. Kill! 200 ironclad scorpions surged, some burrowing into the sand, some leaping, others charging straight on. They surrounded Yang Wu and attacked from every direction. For a moment, he became a blur. He swung his blade in a continuous arc. Each stroke flashed like lightning, shattering the scorpion swarm and felling them one by one. With perfect level body movement and a terrifying 4.2 by force amplification, he swept through second layer, stage C. When the dust settled, the announcement came. Time taken, 15 minutes 16 seconds. Killed 190 elementary beast general level and 10 intermediate beast general level ironclad scorpions. Second layer, stage C, cleared. Congratulations, student Yang Wu. The system voice echoed across the scorching desert. Light flickered, and the scorpion corpses vanished into nothing. Yang Wu's stamina and body fully recovered. Yang Wu, congratulations on completing the second layer of the trial tower. Next is the trial tower's third layer, Stage A trial. Your objective is to kill 100 elementary beast general level golden vultures within 10 minutes. Good luck. Bring it on. Yang Wu tightened his grip. The third layer brought flying monsters for the first time. Golden vultures were far more dangerous than any land beast group. Powerful claws and the ability to lift prey out of reach meant that once a vulture caught you, you could be carried off and powerless. Being grabbed in midair was almost certain death. Yang Wu could not allow himself to be caught. A piercing cry split the air. Golden vultures dove from high above, a glittering cloud of wing and beak. No wonder so many God of War trainees had stalled on the third layer. War god Yang Hui, for example, had a trial tower level of only 3.2, indicating he'd fallen at third layer, stage A. In the original records, Luo Feng, with perfect level body movement and 3.5x force amplification, had reached trial tower level 3.5 and passed stage A. From those comparisons, Yang Wu had reason to believe he'd already surpassed Luo Feng, and he moved forward with steady confidence. Back near the ninefold tower, the small crowd of nearly 100 students who'd watched him clear the second layer erupted when his rank spiked so quickly. Cheating, someone shouted. He must be betting with someone, getting points, another accused. A few voices were loud with disbelief. After all, Yang Wu had only just joined the God of War training camp and seemed to have inferior baseline physical attributes compared to many established students. It was hard for some to accept that his battle points could suddenly surge so much. He's not cheating. He's in the trial room right now, someone spoke up in English. We saw him go in. A group of young men and women, white and black insignias from the ninefold tower, walked over and confirmed what had happened. The noisy accusations died down. Only a few remained jealous. The reality was plain. Yang Wu had finished all the second layer trials, and his trial tower level had jumped from 2.6 to 3.0. That alone explained the dramatic ranking swing. The God of War training camp hadn't seen a new talent like Yang Wu in a long time. Excitement and expectation rippled through the gathered students. Above Yang Wu, the vulture swarm dove in relentless arcs. Golden vultures were striking birds, black and silvery upper plumage, downy pale bellies, and golden feathers beneath the wings. Their wing power and lethal claws made them a nightmare in groups. Even if a fighter was faster, being encircled by flying beast generals made it almost impossible to fully use that speed. But Yang Wu was different. With perfect level body movement, he moved like water through the siege, never losing footing, using the vultures' attacks against them. Puff! Whoosh! Blade light flashed across the sky as vultures screamed and fell. Still the mass continued to press him. Flying beasts outran land beasts of the same level. Their speed made it difficult to shake off the encirclement. Yang Wu had no choice but to dodge constantly and kill while surrounded. His blade technique struck like thunder, each blow fatal. Time taken, 8 minutes 42 seconds. Killed 100 elementary beast general level golden vultures. Third layer, stage A trial passed. Congratulations, student Yang Wu. Next, Proceed to Stage B trial. Your objective is to kill 190 elementary beast general level golden vultures and 10 intermediate beast general level golden vultures within 30 minutes. Good luck. The system's words were followed by the leaderboard updating. Number 29, Yang Wu, 570-100. The crowd surrounding the giant black dragon sculpture fell silent and then erupted again. Yang Wu's rank had leaped from 40th to 29th in a matter of moments. Today was already the 28th, close to the midnight deadline, so major ranking shifts were rare. For a newcomer to break into the top 30 in his first month was astonishing. Some of the older students paled. "This is huge," someone muttered. "Where did this monster come from?" "He's going to be worth a fortune," a plump, sun-freckled youth said. "Only 5 people in our camp ever broke into the top 100 in their first month, and none of them rose this high. 29th place in month 1. That's on another level." Everyone knew how much nations and organizations valued gifted fighters. A newcomer reaching 29th was more valuable than some veterans who'd been here for years. The possibilities of benefactors and recruitment overtures lit up the students' imaginations. What they didn't know was that Yang Wu's trial tower level had just risen again. 3.3 was now on the horizon, and even that wasn't his limit. Chapter 43, Global Sensation. 3 kilometers away, in a residential complex, a burly man with cropped yellow hair stared at the wall screen in disbelief. His gaze locked on the name Yang Wu, ranked 18th, and his eyes bulged. As captain of the intelligence squad there, he knew exactly what an 18th place appearance meant. "Quick, connect me to the boss," he barked. "It's not even midnight yet." A woman in revealing clothes laughed at first. "Now, connect me, now!" The captain's voice was ferocious. The woman's smile vanished as she realized the gravity of the situation and hurriedly linked the call. "This genius is from China? Put me through to the general. I need to speak to him immediately." In other command centers, the reaction was the same. He just entered the God of War training camp and already shot to 18th? "This Yang Wu is abnormal. Connect me to the chief." By the time the news reached Hongning-based city, military and covert organizations from powerful states had the elite training camp's Black Dragon leaderboard under close surveillance. As trained intelligence officers, every leader filed urgent reports to headquarters. Breaking into the top 100 right after entry already marked someone as peerlessly talented. Cracking the top 20, 18th, was extraordinary and terrifying. They all understood why. For organizations as influential as the 5 great nations and the 2 great dojos, sudden gains in raw physical stats were less impressive. Those could be bought with dragon blood, unreleased boosters like herbal spirit, or expensive augmentations. But mastery of movement, the exertion of fist force, and blade technique could not be purchased. Those improved only through repeated combat, training, and the accumulation of experience and comprehension. The elite training camp measured that as combat power amplification, the ability for 1 unit of strength to deliver 10 or even 100 units of combat effectiveness. That was real skill. Yang Wu walked out of the 9-fold tower in plain clothes and breathed easy. He felt a thrill more than frustration. He had failed at the 3rd floor C stage, he thought. Yet his performance had already been shocking. Under the camp's grading, most new students are at levels 1 to 2, elementary. After 6 months to a year of training, many reach 2 to 4, intermediate. 4 to 8 is advanced. 8 to 16 is excellent. Yang Wu's combat power amplification had reached a staggering 15.112, 4.2 times 3.6, near the top of the excellent range. Only those who had comprehended intent could surpass him. "Yang Wu is out," a voice called. Zhang Fang looked up and watched him emerge from the tower. She smiled. "Very good. You're 18th on the Black Dragon leaderboard. How was the trial tower evaluation?" "I failed at the 3rd floor, C stage," Yang Wu admitted, a little sheepish. "The 3rd floor?" The assembled geniuses of the camp erupted. They all understood what the 3rd floor signified. For many instructors, their trial tower rating wasn't necessarily higher than Yang Wu's. From that angle, his talent exceeded any prior expectations. Everyone's estimation of him rose instantly. A high rank in the first month would determine future treatment in the camp, access to resources, contracts, and influential patrons. With Yang Wu's comprehension and potential, given more resources, he would skyrocket. Word spread that recruitment and reward were likely. The contract he coveted, the dragon blood and the complete 9-heavy Thunderblade, suddenly seemed within reach. Dragon blood would raise his baseline physical fitness to God of War level. The 9-heavy Thunderblade would further boost his combat power to that of an advanced war god. Add some herbal spirit and he could reach God of War peak. Even without natural treasures, reaching God of War peak via cultivation alone with his current talent would take nearly 100,000 days. The fallout from this performance might be the equivalent of compressing those 100,000 days away. Yang Wu remembered stepping out of the training room and being besieged, though not by hostility, but by congratulations and offers. Students and representatives from various factions came individually to greet him. Invitations arrived that made hearts tremble. Annual operating budgets in the tens of billions, unprecedented benefits, and sky-high offers meant to lure and secure a prodigy. Some entering the camp break into the top 100 because they are already at planetary level. Yang Wu's results exceeded even those, so organizations coveted him as though he were already a God of War peak. If he weren't a transmigrator, those contracts might have swayed him. Before midnight, around the elite training camp, intelligence teams watched the Black Dragon leaderboard closely. Most observers assumed Yang Wu couldn't leave the camp to earn combat points that day, so his ranking wouldn't rise. It might even slip as others returned. They recorded the moment and moved on, but things rarely went as expected. Other standings fluctuated, yet Yang Wu stayed firmly at 18th. Late that night, in a virtual space, a vast conference hall shimmered silver. The floor, the walls, and the huge round table all gleamed. 6 chairs sat around it. 5 were occupied by figures in white robes, and the 6th chair was pure black, seeming to swallow the light. This was the legendary High Council of the Dojo of Limits, the Round Table Conference. Only 6 people in the entire dojo, its head Hong and the 5 great inspectors, were entitled to sit at this table. Chapter 44. Summoned by the Inspector. There was no need to explain who Hong was. As the world's #1, the position of Inspector of the Dojo of Limits was reserved only for those who had surpassed War God. These 6 people, along with Hong's 3 planetary-level personal guards, formed the highest echelon of the Dojo of Limits. Still, the Round Table Conference was normally convened by the 5 great inspectors. Hong rarely intervened. Because the 5 inspectors were scattered across the globe, the conference always took place in a virtual space. Even other gods of war had heard of the Round Table Conference, but never seen it. Everyone, this is Yang Wu's file. His trial tower level is 3.6, and his punching power exertion level is 4.2. That gives a combat power amplitude of 15.12, classified as excellent. Even among the excellent, there are gradations. He can match the average level of a 5th-year veteran student. His battle points from monster hunts are comparable to those of students who have trained here for 4 or 5 years. Taken together, a rank of 18 is beyond doubt. It's entirely the result of his own effort. The 5 white-robed inspectors argued in hushed, intense tones. Inspector Wang, I agree to admit Yang Wu, but the terms you propose. Vladimir, I don't think these terms are generous enough. Their debate was interrupted by an electronic voice. The inspectors looked up. In the starry virtual sky above the conference room, 5 documents drifted down and landed before them. This is the Hallmaster's decision regarding Yang Wu, the voice announced. If you have objections, report them to the Hallmaster. If not, carry out the decision. Any objections? The electronic voice asked. None. 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 The inspectors ran their eyes over the documents and answered in unison. It wasn't that they truly had no objections. Rather, they dared not oppose the Hallmaster. The Round Table Conference was normally the domain of the 5 inspectors, and Hong seldom intervened. But when the Hallmaster made a decision, opposition was virtually impossible. This was the immense authority Hong held as the world's #1 within the Dojo of Limits. Inspector Wang, proceed immediately, the electronic voice said. Throughout September, the first 28 days had been fiercely competitive. With the rankings settled, the students relaxed over the last 2 days of the month, the 29th and 30th. On the morning of the 29th at 8, inside a small training hall on the second floor of the Ninefold Tower, 6 students gathered for blade technique practice. Senior sister, senior brother. Yang Wu greeted the 3 students already inside as he entered. 2 more arrived a moment later. 4 of the 6 were Chinese, 2 were Caucasian, and 3 of the 6 were girls, an unusually high proportion given the training camp's typical gender balance. Yang Wu, you actually made 18th in your first month, a tall, solidly built Chinese youth said with a grin and a thumbs up. One word, amazing. Junior brother, said a Caucasian girl with long brown hair, who spoke fluent Mandarin. Everyone in the cafeteria was talking about you this morning. I didn't know you were this impressive, junior brother. I want to learn from you. Shall we practice blades together this afternoon? She asked. Janet, do you have a crush on Yang Wu? The other Caucasian girl laughed. Yang Wu, Janet's asking. Don't miss your chance. So what if I am? Janet raised an eyebrow. Haha, Yang Wu, aren't you going to seize the opportunity? The others teased. When 2 gods of war paired up, their offspring tended to inherit exceptional genes, so future talent and aptitude were a real consideration. If Yang Wu had been less focused on his goals, he might have been tempted, but he had no intention of slowing his progress for such a trivial matter. Teacher. All 6 of you are here today, Zhang Fang said, stepping into the hall in a purple training suit, smiling. Yang Wu, yesterday was outstanding. The blade technique class ran until 10:30, and the students filtered out one by one. Yang Wu, wait a moment, Zhang Fang called, and the others left. Only Yang Wu and Zhang Fang remained in the hall. Teacher? Yang Wu asked, puzzled. Zhang Fang's smile softened. Any teacher would be pleased to see such an exceptional student. Yang Wu, getting 18th in your first month, that's terrifyingly good. I can already imagine countries and organizations extending olive branches to you. Yang Wu nodded. He understood the consequences of his surprising rise. But let me remind you of something. Zhang Fang's expression turned serious. This elite training camp was set up by the Dojo of Limits. Although the Dojo of Limits has agreements with many countries and alliances that allow parties to compete for talent, the Dojo of Limits won't easily let someone like you slip away. I advise you not to accept offers from other organizations. It would be best to join the Dojo of Limits. I understand, Yang Wu said. Those with weaker backing would often offer higher rewards to recruit talent. The Dojo of Limits could offer him advantages no one else could, Hong's resources, for example. Hong was the only one who publicly traded dragon blood worldwide. Yang Wu was confident in his aptitude, but he knew he wasn't a Psyker master, and so probably wouldn't inherit anything from Yun Mo planet. Hong's holdings, ancient ruins, inheritances, and other assets might give him access to martial inheritances and opportunities he couldn't get anywhere else. Good, Zhang Feng said. Expect the higher-ups to summon you in a day or 2. A melodious flute-like chime sounded from the corner of the hall. Zhang Feng raised an eyebrow. This was still class time. She walked barefoot across the floor to her phone and glanced at the caller ID. Her expression shifted immediately, growing much more serious. Inspector Wang, she said aloud. Zhang Feng, notify your student Yang Wu and bring him to me. A slightly hoarse voice came through the speaker. Yes. Zhang Feng's reply was quick. After she hung up, a small smile returned to her face. As she had suspected, the higher-ups were interested in Yang Wu. It made sense. The camp hadn't seen a newcomer break the top 100 on arrival in 8 years, let alone place 18th. Yang Wu, Inspector Wang wants to see you, Zhang Feng said, smiling. Just as I predicted. Let's go. Yang Wu's eyes lit up at once. Chapter 45, Generous Rewards. Although he was already counted as a member of the Dojo of Limits, Yang Wu still enjoyed considerable freedom. The dojo placed few restrictions on war gods, which was why they were often called free war gods. But this summons carried a different meaning. By signing the contract, he would become an official, salaried member of the Dojo of Limits and would no longer be free to join other forces. Teacher Zhang Feng, Inspector is waiting for you and student Yang Wu inside, a butler-like elder said with a smile at the villa's entrance. Please come in. The reception room door stood open. A hoarse voice drifted out as they approached. Inside, a lean, middle-aged man sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. idly fiddling with prayer beads. A cup of tea steamed on the low table before him, its faint aroma sharp and refreshing. When the man opened his eyes and met Yang Wu's gaze, Yang Wu felt a sudden, suffocating weight, as if the room itself had become a separate world and the man its god. The invisible pressure made him hold his breath. As expected of a beyond war god, Yang Wu thought, his attention sharpening. Inspector Wang spoke evenly. Carefully read this contract. If there are no problems, sign it. Inspector Wang closed his eyes again and continued to toy with the beads. On the table lay a new contract, 3 pages in total. Yang Wu read it through. This was the Dojo of Limit's official recruitment contract, not a casual agreement. In the past, although the dojo rarely paid a salary, it also made few demands of ordinary war gods. This contract, however, offered real power and benefits in exchange for responsibilities. Annual operating funds of 5 billion, Yang Wu muttered, frowning slightly. The sum was not high. In fact, it was modest. A beginner god of war could easily earn that in a year, and other organizations were offering no less than 20 billion in operating expenses. The dojo's allowance was comparatively low, yet many who joined the Dojo of Limits did so for reasons beyond money. Yang Wu's eyes brightened when he reached the 3rd page. The reward clauses were irresistible, some immediate, some conditional. Reward: SS-grade combat suit, a full set of weapons, any 3 full sets of secret techniques, and dragon blood valued at 80 billion. An SS-grade combat suit could withstand most king-level monster attacks and nullify assaults from Lord-level foes. SS-grade weapons could pierce the defenses of king-level monsters. Even purchased at a discount, a full combat suit and weapons would cost around 75 billion. 3 full sets of secret techniques. Just a single set of the 9 heavy Thunderblade at half price could be valued at 50 billion. The Dragon Blood alone, valued at 80 billion, excited Yang Wu most of all. It would directly enhance his physical quality and accelerate his strength improvement. Several conditional clauses followed. If Party B's battle power amplitude reaches 16 before January 1st, 2057, Party B will receive a Black God suit from the ancient civilization ruins. If Party B's battle power amplitude reaches 20 before June 1st, 2057, other tempting rewards followed, each more difficult to obtain. For ordinary geniuses, these targets were nearly unattainable, but Yang Wu did not find them impossible. He had read the student handbook and spoken with senior students like Shi Jiang and Zhao Ruo. He understood what each battle power amplitude meant. Amplitudes between 8 and 16 were excellent. Sometimes, across 5 years of the entire training camp, not a single student would exceed 16. Yet a few exceptional students in history had surpassed it. The clause demanded Yang Wu hit amplitude 16 within 2 months to claim the Black God suit. It was ambitious, but Yang Wu felt confident. His trial tower level was 3.6. The force exertion of the 6 heavy Thunderblade was 4.9. If he could master the 6 heavy Thunderblade, his calculated amplitude would already reach about 17.64. And mastering that technique would likely raise his trial tower level further. Reaching, or even exceeding, amplitude 16 or 20 was far from out of reach. Finished reading? Inspector Wang asked, opening his eyes and looking across the tea table. Yes, Yang Wu replied. No objections. He smiled. Although the contract demanded much, he believed he could meet the challenges. Are you ready to sign? Inspector Wang's lips curled into the faintest hint of a smile. Yang Wu nodded and signed. Inspector Wang handed him an identical second copy. One for you to keep, one for the dojo. With his signature, Yang Wu became a core member of the dojo, granted temporary annual operating funds of 5 billion. His immediate goal was clear: reach a battle power amplitude of 16 and claim the Black God suit. If I make it, I'll be far more confident facing the Willow Tree King, Yang Wu thought, excitement flaring in his eyes. This contract was personally set by the dojo master, Inspector Wang said with a soft laugh. In my opinion, the lower clauses are nearly impossible for you to complete. Even if you wanted to change them, you couldn't. Dojo master, the absolute number 1, the richest and most powerful person in the world, who could provide virtually any early-stage resource Yang Wu might need. Inspector Wang continued good-naturedly. I think highly of you, but I don't know how many of these rewards you'll ultimately earn. That's up to you. Everything that needed to be said has been said. You can go. The dragon blood and other rewards will be delivered soon. Yang Wu nodded and left with Jiang Fang. Dragon blood was invaluable, capable of greatly enhancing physical attributes and accelerating future cultivation. At this stage, improving force exertion or movement techniques was costly and slow. Comprehension didn't improve overnight. What he needed most was a boost to his physical quality. Stronger physique meant greater confidence and more options. Dragon blood would speed that process and save years of effort. Chapter 46. Use Dragon's Blood. When Yang Wu returned that evening, he informed headquarters which secret manual he needed. They replied that the reward would be delivered that night. It was already 11 p.m. at the main gate of the God of War training camp, and the air had turned cool. Because it was the 29th, no students were lingering by the gate. Student Yang Wu, why are you here so late? Called the middle-aged man in charge of the gate with a friendly smile. Yang Wu's name was known throughout the camp now, so the guard recognized him immediately. Something came up, Yang Wu answered lightly. The guard knew the rules and didn't press further. Yang Wu paced back and forth in the night breeze, checking his watch as each minute crawled by. Occasionally a car passed the gate and he'd glance up, but none of them were the one he waited for. A horn blared. A large truck approached the gate. Beep, clear, an electronic voice announced from the guard room. The smart systems ran much of the elite camp. Even vehicles from martial arts halls normally lacked clearance to drive straight in. Yang Wu's heart quickened. The truck pulled up beside him and came to a stop. Its rear door hissed open. Student Yang Wu, please get in. Yang Wu hurried to the truck. A blue light swept over him, and an automated voice confirmed his identity. The truck's compartment was roomy and well-appointed. 3 people sat inside, 1 Asian, 2 Caucasian, and they all looked at him with surprise. So this is Yang Wu? I didn't expect headquarters to send all 3 of us to escort him. They spoke Chinese. In Hongning Bay City it was the common language, and most people at headquarters used it. Yang Wu climbed in and immediately saw a large fingerprint-secured lockbox. The box was the right size to hold a shield, the Blood Shadow battle blade, and other heavy weapons. The same blue light flashed over the box, and the electronic voice announced, "Reward item confirmed. Student Yang Wu, please receive the reward item." One of the tall Caucasian men lifted the box and handed it to Yang Wu. "What's inside, Student Yang Wu?" he asked with a grin. "It's classified," Yang Wu replied, smiling as he took it. Finally, the huge reward was in his hands. He carried the box back to his residence at Jiangnan Pavilion and went down into his underground secret chamber. He turned the heavy alloy door's lock and went inside. Using the dragon blood was an important matter. He didn't want anyone disturbing him. The fingerprint box opened with a soft click. It had 2 layers. The upper layer held neatly stacked SS battlesuits, the Blood Shadow battle blade, a shield, and several other items. He set them aside and lifted the lower layer. There were only 2 wooden boxes inside, 1 large, 1 small. The big one should be the 9 Heavy Thunderblade manual, and the small one is the Dragon Blood, he said to himself. Yang Wu opened the small box first. Inside, secured in foam, sat a sealed test tube filled about 1/3 with golden liquid. This was Dragon Blood, the kind that still sold for 80 billion even at half price. He handled the test tube carefully, afraid of breaking it. Under his lamp, the golden liquid gleamed, almost unreal in its beauty. As a transmigrator, he knew what this actually was, not literal draconic heart blood, but a high-grade concoction produced by Hong's investment of massive energy materials and ancient civilization ruins technology, akin to the water of life. Its premium ingredient was derived from the essence of a king-level creature far beyond lord level, a so-called Earth King dragon. True king-level dragons were rarer than 10 across the whole Earth. Yet this kind of product could be manufactured by those with enough resources. That was why it had a clear market price. Most treasures advertised online were reproducible and had fixed prices. Only truly rare items, like the herbal spirit on Mist Island, were unrepeatable and often unknown even to ordinary martial artists. Yang Wu understood how to use dragon blood. It needed to be applied to the body. There was no need to cover the whole surface. The potion would penetrate and spread. The one absolute rule was never to drink it. He remembered his last test at the Ninefold Tower. His punch force was about 33,000 kilograms. If dragon blood truly doubled his strength, he could reach over 66,000 kilograms, past the lower threshold for God of War physical quality. In truth, the effect scaled with one's base strength. The weaker the person, the more dramatic the boost. Some warriors even saw their strength quadruple. Legends claimed dragon blood doubled strength, but that was only an approximation. Yang Wu had never used it himself. Most users' experiences weren't public. He lay flat on the stone floor of the chamber and uncorked the test tube. A unique scent spread through the room. Just inhaling it made the skin on his arms and legs tingle, a sensation faintly like cultivating gene power. He tilted the tube and let the golden liquid drop onto his chest. The dragon blood was viscous, like mercury. It flowed slowly. The test tube was small and only 1/3 full. The amount was tiny. It smeared across his chest, covering only a small area until every drop had run out. Yang Wu set the test tube aside. The area's too small. He didn't hesitate. Using both hands, he scooped up what remained and rubbed it all over his bare upper body, over his arms. The instant he spread it, heat began to crawl along the paths where the dragon blood had touched his skin, drawing inward, sinking into him. It spread through his limbs, back, chest, head, everywhere, and the sensation only intensified. The dragon blood on the surface seemed to disappear as it seeped in. The instructions had warned the process would be agonizing, possibly causing unconsciousness. Yang Wu had known that in theory, but the reality hit him far harder. At first it felt like tens of thousands of ants chewing at his skin. Then the pain deepened, numbness that flared into white-hot agony, tingling that felt like being burned alive. It drove down into the bones. He clenched his fists until his knuckles were white, his whole body trembling. Sweat beaded on his forehead, muscles twitched, heart pounding faster and faster. Thump, thump, thump. Each beat thundered in his ears until darkness closed in. He fainted. Even as he passed out, the dragon blood kept penetrating. His body convulsed violently. Every muscle spasmed, skin pulling and writhing like something crawling beneath it. Veins bulged and coiled. Sizzling energy crawled through him. At the cellular level, every cell hungrily absorbed the strange power, initiating a cascade of transformations. Genetic material rewrote itself. Useless sequences were discarded, useful ones refined. Impurities and dead cells were purged, surfacing as black grime. Tendons, bones, fascia, muscles, skin, internal organs. Everything reshaped. Bones hardened. Fascia and membranes became tougher. The dragon blood's energy fueled rapid evolution. Processes normally measured in years were compressed into minutes. His physical quality and potential leapt ahead at an unbelievable rate. System prompts pulsed in his mind. Upon consuming dragon blood, your talent has slightly increased. Your talent has reached Black Iron 1, triggering a promotion quest. External conditions referenced. Strength referenced. Reference complete. Quest generated. Promotion quest. Strongest trial. Quest description. Push your limits in combat and comprehend the sublimation of your talent level. Quest completion condition. Solo kill a king-level monster. Completion reward. Talent transforms to Bronze 5. Quest failure condition. Breaking through to planetary level. Failure penalty. Talent decreases to Black Iron 2. Yang Wu blinked, coming out of unconsciousness. He lifted his eyelids and sat up. A layer of black grime coated him from neck to waist. Even his face was smeared. He reached for a towel and wiped. Bronze skin gleamed beneath the dirt. His ordinary yellow complexion had shifted into a bronze tone, like a metal casting. The dragon blood had transformed him. He flexed experimentally and felt raw, brutal power coiling in his limbs. About 70,000 kilograms of punching power, he muttered to himself, more than double his previous output. Even without pushing his body to the limit, he was suddenly a genuine war god. 4.2 times exertion, burst, he barked, and slammed his fist into the alloy wall beside him. The wall dented with a thunderous crash. He hammered it again and again. Each blow sent the secret room vibrating. Thump, thump, thump. The force was intoxicating, and Yang Wu roared with exhilaration as he vented. Then the system messages came back to the fore. Promotion quest, legendary trial. The reward was tempting, but the penalty and the difficulty were brutal. He ran the numbers in his head. King-level monsters were formidable. A planetary-level Stage 1, King-level monster could release gene power externally, attack power in the realm of 1,000,000 kilograms, body strength roughly the same. That put a baseline for such monsters at 2 to 4 million kilograms in overall power. Yang Wu's peak as a war god reached only around 500,000 kilograms of punching power. Even if he perfected the 9-heavy Thunderblade to reach 7 times exertion, most planetary-level human fighters averaged about 5 times. A full power strike from a king-level monster could easily outclass him. Worse, monsters at planetary level could fly. If he broke through to planetary level himself, he'd meet the quest's failure condition immediately, and the promotion would be lost. There was no way he could reliably solo a king-level monster right now. The odds were absurdly stacked against him. Damn it, Yang Wu exhaled, the frustration and urgency piling into that single curse. Chapter 48. The intention of leaving. Inside the bathroom of Yang Wu's residence in the Jiangnan Pavilion, hot water streamed over his battered frame, washing away the grime of another day. He let the water run until the dirty bathwater drained completely, then plugged the tub and lay back, letting the heat soothe his muscles. For once his mood felt unusually light. Black God Suit. The Black God Suit was special. Originating from the 9th ruins, it was one of the rarest pieces of equipment in the world. Only those who successfully entered the ruins could obtain one, and each person had only a single chance. Not even Hong could get another Black God Suit. For now, Yang Wu decided he would stay in the God of War training camp until he could secure one. Leaving the camp would make obtaining a Black God Suit far harder. In order to unlock a more advanced method of exerting force, he might even have to enter the 9th ruins himself someday. Ordinary king-level monsters couldn't breach an SS-grade combat suit's defenses, but their sheer kinetic force could still snap a person's body apart. The Black God Suit, however, could dissipate 90% of an impact and redistribute the remaining 10% across the whole body. In other words, wearing one would multiply his survival chances by more than tenfold. It was also capable of transforming into blades, throwing knives, or swords, making it a fearsome weapon as well. With a Black God Suit, Yang Wu would never have to worry about weapons or suits on Earth again. If he could reach the 6th stage of the 9-heavy Thunderblade technique, his battle power multiplier would exceed 16, enough to qualify for a Black God Suit. He had accumulated a lot of cultivation before, but to prove his talent, he had nearly exhausted it all. Now he had only a little over 2,000 days of cultivation left. Even if his talent improved to Black Iron 1, that amount of cultivation might still be insufficient to comprehend the 6th stage. He considered this, then shook his head. After a long soak, Yang Wu climbed from the tub, dried off, and donned the newly acquired SS-grade combat suit, alloy combat boots, and other gear. He opened a large wooden box in his room and found 3 thick secret manuals stacked inside, along with a handful of optical discs. The cover of one manual bore 4 large characters. 9-heavy Thunderblade, the complete manual. He felt a small thrill. From now on, he wouldn't have to worry about paying to learn the technique. He planned to read the full manual straight away. Instead, after a quick skim, he left the residence and slipped into the cool night toward the Ninefold Tower. It was past 2 in the morning. Most of the tower's halls were empty at this hour. Only the 9th floor still saw some students, since the elite training camp's ancient civilization gravity room and trial room operated 24 hours a day, with just an hour break at noon. Other facilities were largely deserted. On the 5th floor of the Ninefold Tower, a small martial arts hall was dim but functional. Yang Wu flipped on the lights and walked to a large punching force testing machine in the corner. It was a top-tier model, built to withstand strikes even from advanced war gods. He switched it on. The display came to life. 2 nights ago, his punching power had been slightly over 33,000 kilograms. Let's see what it is now, he thought. He stepped up to the target and struck. No special technique, just a raw burst of all his strength. His right fist crashed out like a cannonball, a sonic boom trailing it. The target shuddered with a dull, violent thud. The display registered 70,888 kilograms. About what I expected, maybe a little more, Yang Wu thought. His physical fitness had more than doubled. The dragon blood's effects were indeed astonishing. It had elevated him to the level of an initial war god. He knew the threshold for an initial war god lay between roughly 64,000 and 128,000 kilograms. He didn't stop there. Focusing, he invoked the 9 Heavy Thunderblade, Stage 4, its force multiplier 4.2 times, and unleashed his full power. His fist slammed into the target again with earth-shaking force. The hall seemed to compress around the impact. The display blinked and then spat out a number, 297,700 kilograms. That blow had already surpassed the lower limit for an advanced war god, set at 256,000 kilograms. Yang Wu's chest swelled with excitement. This was real power. At that moment, his strength placed him among the top students of the elite training camp. He knew, however, that there were stronger people on Earth and far stronger ones beyond. He was still only an apprentice by universal standards. In October, his final ranking had been 18th, so this month his hunting schedule had him going out on even-numbered days. On the morning of October 2nd, Yang Wu and a group of students headed out to City 1001. As they traveled, whispers and sideways glances followed him. Yang Wu ranked 18th last month. He's almost into the top 10. He joined the Dojo of Limits. He must have received a lot of rewards, dragon blood for sure. His strength really more than doubled, didn't it? He'll break into the top 10 this month for sure. And he still has nearly 5 years to train in the God of War camp. This place will be his domain. By midday, the news had swept the camp like a gale. Even those who stayed behind had heard it. The gap in ability felt so wide now that most of the other students no longer felt defeat or jealousy. There was simply nothing to compare. What they didn't know was that Yang Wu already had plans of his own, plans to leave. Chapter 49, The Sixfold Thunderblade and Hong's Summons. Yang Wu had always kept one goal in mind, to reach a battle power amplitude of 16 before January 1st, 2057. By past standards, a battle power amplitude of 16 was something few, if any, students in the entire God of War training camp had achieved. Yet for Yang Wu, the target felt achievable. Time passed as he buried himself in cultivation and grinding monsters. Inside his quiet room in the Jiangnan Pavilion, an incense stick burned low, its scent filling the space and steadying his mind. Yang Wu sat cross-legged in a loose silk robe, meditating. Images and sensations flowed past like frames, sped up on an accelerator as he swung his blade again and again, tens of millions of repetitions, pushing speed to the limit. 14,400 days of effort streamed through his thoughts. He had spent that time continuously comprehending the 6 Heavy Thunderblade. When Yang Wu opened his eyes, after cultivating diligently for decades more, he reacted on instinct and swung the blade. Every ounce of power in his body surged to the limit. Strength transferred in an instant from his legs through his waist and hips. His vertebrae popped in succession as force traveled upward into his right arm. From his waist through his back, 6 hidden currents of power burst forth, rippling like waves. The 6th level of the 9 Heavy Thunderblade triggered. 49% of his total power erupted. He had taken 14,400 days to master the 5 Heavy Thunderblade, and now the 6 Heavy Thunderblade had demanded another 4,400 days. Just as I thought, 14,400 days for the 6 Heavy, Yang Wu murmured with a small smile. Dragon blood hadn't boosted Luo Feng's talent much, but for Yang Wu, whose talent had been mediocre, the improvement was dramatic. His potential rose to Black Iron 1, and his comprehension doubled. After a quick shower and a change into fresh training clothes, Yang Wu headed for the Ninefold Tower. It's almost time, he thought, eyes narrowing. By the time he arrived, it was already past 10 at night. There was still more than an hour until midnight, enough time to update his force exertion level. Yang Wu, here for the trials? People greeted as he passed. Why are you trying to break the rankings before the end of the month? The usual faces nodded, and Yang Wu smiled and returned their greetings. He didn't need to enter the trial tower itself, only a fist force level test. Inside the trial room, he lay back on the sofa, donned the consciousness-sensing helmet, and his avatar appeared on the silver floor of the virtual space. He could run the test anywhere in the virtual area. I want to run a fist force level test, he said. A testing rig materialized before him. Student Yang Wu, Please begin the fist force level test, the familiar electronic voice announced. This wasn't his first time around. He knew the drill. He stood, drew a deep breath, and gathered every scrap of strength into his fist. When he struck, 6 hidden forces flared and the punch tore through the air with a whistling roar. The target reeled under the impact and the display froze on 494 kilograms. The virtual body's standard strength was 10,000 kilograms, with only minor error. The 6th level of the 9 heavy Thunderblade corresponded to a force exertion level of 4.9, so a result of 49,040 kilograms was exactly as expected. The voice confirmed it. Fist force exertion level 4.9. Congratulations, student Yang Wu. Your current battle power amplitude is 17.64. Satisfied, Yang Wu left the ninefold tower and went straight home. Back in his study at Jiangnan Pavilion, it was already 11 o'clock when he opened his laptop. He quickly pulled up the scanned contract he'd signed with the Dojo of Limits. The document listed 5 reward clauses and a contact number. Once his battle power amplitude met a clause, he could call to claim the reward. Yang Wu dialed. "Hello," answered a low, even voice. "Hello, I'm Yang Wu from the elite training camp," he said, steady. "I signed a contract with the dojo. There are 5 reward clauses. If I meet one, I can call this number to claim the reward, correct?" "Yes," the voice replied. "Please state your details." "My battle power amplitude is 17.64. I believe that meets the Black God suit clause." Yang Wu's heart thumped faster. "Please hold while I check." After a brief pause, the voice brightened. "Ah, congratulations, student Yang Wu. Your battle power amplitude does read 17.64, and today is before January 1st, 2057, so you qualify for that reward. Your reward is the Black God suit. Congratulations. Also, student Yang Wu, please continue your efforts. Strive to reach a battle power amplitude of 16 as soon as possible to qualify for another reward." The call ended. Yang Wu sat in the quiet study, heart racing and a grin breaking across his face. He clenched his left fist hard. He had made it. His promotion mission, the king-level monster on Mist Island. Everything seemed more certain now. Soon he could leave the God of War training camp and head to Australia. If he could find the herbal spirit, he could push his physical quality to the peak for a God of War and then begin planning the promotion mission. It was time to improve his talent while he still could. On the other end, the staff member who had answered the phone was already busy. The Black God suit was a rare and valuable reward and had to be reported to the dojo master Hong. Equally important was how quickly Yang Wu had reached a battle power amplitude of 17.64. He'd been at the camp just over a month. That speed was staggering. Even veterans who took 5 years to reach 16 were considered exceptional. "This is a matter that must be reported to the dojo master," the staff member said solemnly and placed another call. Soon the message came back. "The Black God suit is important. The dojo master wants you to come to the Hongning base city headquarters to receive the suit, and because the dojo master has something to tell you." "Understood," Yang Wu said, nodding. He had suspected that revealing his talent would draw Hong's attention sooner or later. He just hadn't expected it to happen this quickly. Chapter 50. Shocked Hong. From Yang Wu's point of view, Hong and the Thunder God were already like earthly deities. They paid almost no heed to the mundane world. To ordinary people, they seemed devoid of desires, yet they cultivated relentlessly. Perhaps a true martial artist's desire is simply to chase breakthroughs in martial skill and push the limits of the human body. In terms of conviction and raw power, Yang Wu still lagged far behind the two. "After entering the Devouring the Heavens world, my mindset has changed without me realizing it," Yang Wu said with a slight smile. "Compared with my wasted life before, I'm willing to fight for my life now." Each activation of the Golden Finger amounted to an enormous stretch of time. Yang Wu threw himself into training his blade techniques, movement techniques, physical conditioning, and more. He didn't find the grind tedious. Instead, a deep, quiet joy swelled inside him. The rewiring and perfection of his internal genes, the constant improvements in his strength, the 9 heavy Thunderblade breaking through again and again, those fundamental changes to his body were intoxicating. He found he had fallen in love with the very sensation of elevating the essence of his life. "I want to pursue the limits of life and keep surpassing myself." Yang Wu's eyes hardened. He felt like uncut jade, bright from within, like a blade pointing upward, full of fighting spirit. Strive, advance, surpass. When my time comes, I don't want to close my eyes with any regrets about not having tried hard enough. In the pre-dawn hours, two people in black uniforms arrived quickly at the Jiangnan Pavilion courtyard and knocked on the gate. "Who is it?" Yang Wu opened the gate and stepped out. The two officers, a man and a woman, both around 30, with sharp eyes, looked him over. "Student Yang Wu," the man said, "the Quanchu has summoned you. Please come with us." It was rare for the Quanchu to summon someone in person. Yang Wu's heart leapt. So fast, he had only just received the call. "All right," he said, and followed them. If it had been most other planetary-level experts who summoned him, he would have refused, but he knew Hong's personality. He had to obey this summons. They soon reached the main entrance of the elite training camp, where a black, ultra-luxury stretched limousine waited. The woman in black opened the rear door for him. Inside, the cabin felt like a space capsule, plush and quiet. The car slipped away with almost no vibration. The man in black sat near the driver, the woman beside Yang Wu. 20 minutes later, the car slowed to a halt. "Student Yang Wu, we have arrived at headquarters," the woman said with a faint smile. Before them stood a colossal structure that looked like a spaceship, tens of thousands of meters long and roughly 100 meters high. A huge hatch, tens of meters wide, allowed entrance. Even at night, troops were stationed in large numbers around the exterior, giving the place a strict, fortified air. A blue beam scanned Yang Wu as he approached. "Beep. Student Yang Wu, please enter," an electronic voice announced. "Only a very small number of high-ranking personnel have permission to enter headquarters. Unauthorized intrusion will be neutralized by the defense system." Yang Wu walked in. The vast hatchway gleamed silvery white. Inside the corridors, most personnel wore blue robes. A very few wore red robes. "This is the lounge. Student Yang Wu, please rest here. The Quanchu will summon you shortly," a fair-skinned girl in a blue robe told him with a smile, then left. A moment later, a voice called out, "Yang Wu, the Ko has summoned you." A man in a red robe stood outside the door. Yang Wu stood, followed him down the hall, and soon arrived at a small, quiet chamber. The red-robed man bowed and withdrew. "Yang Wu, come in," a cold voice said. It was Hong. Yang Wu had met him before and recognized his voice. The reception room was dim and simple. There were only two cushions. Hong sat cross-legged on one, motioning to the other. The moment Yang Wu took the cushion, a hum ran through his mind and reality warped. Light went out, replaced by a blackness that seemed to swallow everything. Centered in that blackness, Hong's presence shone like a void star. Under his gaze, Yang Wu felt utterly powerless. Not even a flicker of defiance rose in him. Even after all his recent growth, a single look from Hong felt like it could end him. In that moment, Hong was a god. Yang Wu bowed inwardly and sat. Even without Hong speaking, his invisible aura bent those present to it. It was like an ant facing a divine dragon. The gap in strength left no room for resistance. As expected of someone who has comprehended a domain, Yang Wu thought, odd, truly terrifying. He resolved again, in the future, he too must comprehend a domain. Hong studied Yang Wu and nodded slightly. Talent and comprehension were useful, but alone they weren't enough for greatness. Yang Wu now possessed an indomitable fighting spirit, the kind of iron will that could not be hammered flat or washed away by any torrent. To break the final limits of life, one needed that unstoppable, no one else but me resolve. For a moment, Hong's gaze softened. "I'd heard about your situation for some time," Hong said finally. "This is our first meeting, and you've still managed to surprise me. I thought that even with dragon blood, after a month or two, your base physical conditioning would at best be at the high warlord level," he continued. "I didn't expect you'd have already just stepped into the God of War rank. Including your 6 heavy Thunderblade, your combat strength is already that of an advanced war god." Hong's lips curved slightly. The first time Hong heard about Yang Wu was when Yang joined the God of War training camp. Hong was astonished by the boy's talent. In just over a month, Yang's 9 heavy Thunderblade had reached 3rd level. Judged by raw comprehension alone, Yang Wu even surpassed the Thunder God. After Yang entered the camp, he kept proving himself, and Hong came to value him more and more. There had to be a reason for such rapid progress. Everyone has secrets. Hong had his own. Some he wouldn't even tell family, so he wasn't inclined to pry. The Dojo of Limits had become strong through unity. Hong had always focused on cultivating geniuses to make the dojo stronger, not fretting if some prodigy might one day outstrip him. After looting a number of ancient civilization ruins, Hong had a broader picture of the universe. Earth was tiny and weak, likely to be discovered by stronger forces someday. Would humanity be annihilated, enslaved, sold, or somehow survive? He wanted a sliver of protection for Earth, astral rank, and pushed everyone in the dojo toward that end. For Hong, even with staggering comprehension, ascending to universe rank might be a stretch. For Yang Wu, however, undying could be only the baseline. Being a transmigrator, Yang had a wider scope of ambition, freedom from rules, transcendence, perhaps even becoming a lord. Whether Hong had perceived that lofty streak in Yang's heart or not, he kept his observations to himself and stared at him intently in the reception room. Under that look, Yang felt uncomfortable. "Your current strength is already at the peak among gods of war," Hong said flatly. "How you got here is not my concern, let's be direct." Hong's tone went colder. "The Black God suit is special. It's rare worldwide. Usually only those who enter ancient civilization ruins and succeed obtain a set. Yang Wu, the Dojo of Limits has a rule. Anyone who receives a Black God suit as a reward must, when the time comes, return to the ancient civilization ruins, obtain another set, and sell it to the Dojo of Limits." They distributed the suits as prizes. Every time one set went out, the inventory shrank. The rule ensured replenishment. "With your potential, your basic physical qualities should reach the peak of God of War within a year," Hong continued. "So, you must enter the 9th ruins within that year. With your talent, obtaining a Black God suit shouldn't be difficult. That's the arrangement." He pushed a small box across the table. "This contains the suit. You may go." Yang Wu nodded. He left the Dojo of Limits global headquarters, escorted by a red-robed Caucasian attendant. In the reception room, Hong allowed a small smile. His comprehension is comparable to mine, he thought. His mental domain breadth is not low. I hope he finds a martial inheritance like mine, so his future can be even greater. Hong had himself received guidance from the 9th ruins. He was only a planetary level 6, but his martial realm was exceptionally high. Comprehending a personal domain was rare even among astral and universe rank figures. Hong's ability had come from both talent and that ruin's inheritance. Later, at the Jiangnan Pavilion, Yang opened the silver box. Inside was a white plastic case, neatly packaged, the Black God suit. "The suit is simple in use," Yang murmured as he inspected it. Once worn, it would permeate the skin and draw blood. After absorbing a portion of blood, it would mutate, integrating with the body so completely it behaved like skin and obeyed the wearer's will. The box was only about 20 centimeters square. Inside lay what looked like a thick black glove. "If I weren't a transmigrator, I wouldn't guess this was the Black God suit." Yang smiled. The suits could take many initial forms: gloves, vests, hats, pants, even rings, but once worn they could change shape as needed. He picked up the glove, inhaled, and put it on. At first there was nothing. Then, after roughly 30 seconds, a prickling crawled across his scalp as if tiny needles had teased his skin. The surface of the glove shimmered and trembled like boiling liquid. His fingers, palm, and the back of his hand went through waves of pain, not unbearable, but unmistakable. Red threads of blood ran into the black droplets on the glove, and the droplets changed as they absorbed it. The process lasted about 15 minutes before it stopped. Strangely, Yang felt as though his left hand could sense the flow of air around it, as if the glove were part of him. Black, flowing light expanded from the glove, racing up his left arm and then leaping across to his right arm. In moments, it spread over his torso, thighs, neck, face, and down to his feet, coating him in a living layer of black skin. He walked to a mirror and watched the transformation. His body beneath his clothes was now sheathed in a matte black hide. His face darkened except for eye, nose, and mouth openings. "Let's test the defense." Yang grabbed the SS-grade Blood Shadow battle blade and slashed at his arm. The blade struck like it met thick, flexible armor. Not a single cut, no tear, no blood. The Black God suit had become part of him, and it was tougher than any ordinary hide. Chapter 52. Huge sensation, Jiangnan Pavilion, early morning. Haha, our Jiangnan-based city really produced a super genius, Shijiang said as he hooked his arm through Yang Wu's shoulder. Want to go hunt monsters together? Let me see the strength of this super genius. That's perfect. I was planning to hunt a few beast generals. It'd be even better if you came to support me, Yang Wu replied with a laugh. Hunting beast generals. Shijiang's face went blank, his eyes wide with disbelief. He couldn't help but gasp. Although most of the top 30 in the training camp had war god level strength, they usually hunted advanced beast generals to earn battle points. Hunting several beast generals at once would push one's points so high it would amount to a disguised graduation. Shijiang wasn't incapable of hunting them, but doing so would likely mean Yang Wu was planning to leave the camp, and quickly. The previous number 1 was still around, so even if Yang Wu's power had improved rapidly, he shouldn't be graduating so soon, unless he intended to. What, you're thinking of graduating? Shijiang asked in surprise. Yes. Staying here doesn't mean much to me anymore, Yang Wu said bluntly. Many of the training camp's facilities were of little use to him now. Besides, there were rules. Because Yang Wu had ranked 18th last month, he could only hunt on even-numbered days. That cut his hunting to half the month, costing him huge amounts of cultivation time. He couldn't afford to waste that. Yang Wu needed to obtain the herbal spirit as soon as possible, finish the promotion mission, and break through to become a planetary level. Once he reached planetary level, he could take his time accumulating strength, comprehending techniques, exerting force, and even learning a domain. He had no intention of picking up sesame seeds and missing watermelons. All right, let's go together, Shijiang said with a small smile. You want to kill beast generals, but they always have lots of subordinates around. We'll split it. When the time comes, you handle some of the beast generals, I'll handle others. Haha, cooperative hunting, Shijiang laughed. Yang Wu wasn't a psyker master. He couldn't attack from a distance until he became a planetary level. Killing beast generals inside a monster horde was dangerous. A war god level human of equal rank would often lose a one-on-one against a beast general, and each beast general was surrounded by many subordinates. Even most war god powerhouses couldn't take down many beast generals in a year. That morning, Yang Wu and the other students set off for City 1001 together. Along the way, everyone looked at him strangely, more like they were staring at a monster than a person. Last night, after Yang Wu's force level test, his battle power amplitude had jumped by 2.52. His strength more than doubled, and his efficiency at hunting monsters shot up. His ranking soared as a result. Because it was late, not many people had noticed then, but now students who passed the Black Dragon rankings glanced at them and saw something incredible. The first place ranking had changed. Even more shocking, the person who had jumped to first was last month's hot newcomer, Yang Wu. Yang Wu rushed into first place in his second month's ranking. The news swept through the training camp like a storm. Not only those out hunting, but also those staying behind heard about it. Although the final rankings wouldn't be confirmed until midnight on the 28th, Yang Wu being first already spoke volumes. Yang Wu himself knew that if he underwent the trial tower level assessment again, his ranking wouldn't change. He was already at the top. 18th in the first month, and then blasting to first in the second month. Does that mean he might monopolize first place in the future? People murmured. The thought spread and settled in many minds. It seemed likely to become reality. What no one expected was that Yang Wu planned to leave today. Evening. Yang Wu returned to the training camp's battle point calculation area with Shijiang, his backpack sagging under a mountain of beast general materials. A warrior's backpack could expand, but Yang Wu's had been formed by the Black God suit, making its capacity even more flexible. The bottom of the pack now dragged down to his ankles, a clear sign of his haul. Originally, Shijiang had come along largely for the fun of it and to lend a hand. Beast generals were dangerous. A war god level fighter could struggle against one, and their subordinates were numerous. But with Yang Wu at advanced war god strength, wielding the SS-grade Blood Shadow battle blade and wearing the Black God suit, cutting through beast generals had been as easy as slicing melons. In just one day, Yang Wu had taken down 3 beast generals, 2 intermediate beast generals, and 1 elementary beast general. The greatest concentration of monsters was always around the beast generals, so Shi Jiang had been kept busy dealing with the hordes. Shi Jiang's combat power was comparable to an intermediate war god, no slouch, and with Yang Wu focused on the beast generals, their minions were nothing in front of him. In the end, Shi Jiang had to reluctantly discard all monster materials below Advanced Beast General because of the bag's limits. "You really can carry a lot," Shi Jiang said, nudging Yang Wu's shoulder and grinning. "This morning when we went out together, you acted like nothing had changed," Shi Jiang continued teasingly. "But when we reached the main entrance and I glanced at the Black Dragon rankings, I saw myself drop from 2nd to 3rd. I was wondering who could have leapfrogged me, and it turned out to be you, the genius who pushed me down. You've been steady in the top 5 month after month," Yang Wu replied with a smile. "You're a real talent at stabilizing your score." "Hey, this isn't the final ranking yet," Shi Jiang shot back. "If the current 2nd place drops out, you'd move up, wouldn't you?" Chapter 53, Australian Continent Rankings in the Training Camp fluctuated constantly, especially among the top 5. Competition there was vicious, and positions changed all the time. Yang Wu had managed to stay in that top 5 consistently, which put him among the absolute strongest in the camp. Yet he was an anomaly. Ever since he reached contender level, he had refused to chase first place. "Let's go," Yang Wu said, dressed in a black combat uniform and carrying a backpack nearly 2 meters tall. Flanked by 2 female staff members from the God of War training camp, he walked through the hall and stepped into the elevator. "Good heavens, that backpack must be 2 meters high," murmured one of the students nearby. "How many monster materials has he got in there?" Yang Wu only smiled as he gripped the pack. It wasn't an ordinary backpack at all, but an extension of his black god suit. Since owning the suit, he'd gotten lazy about ordinary gear. The elevator dinged and the doors opened. The staff led him into a spacious reception room where a woman in her 40s sat waiting. "Hello, student Yang Wu. How does it feel to reach first place?" the supervisor asked with a smile. "Just so-so," Yang Wu answered, shaking his head slightly. The supervisor laughed. "If you can reach first place in your 2nd month, you'll probably top the list every month from now on." Without ceremony, Yang Wu unzipped the pack and poured its contents, monster materials, into a nearby pool. The supervisor's eyes widened. Among the items were 3 prominent, blood-stained spikes. "Tyrannosaurus?" The woman, Supervisor Zhang, couldn't hide her shock. She glanced at the staff member beside her, who was familiar with monster classifications. "Get out here," she said, and the staff member hurried from the room, clearly as stunned as Zhang. The other 2 sets of materials also looked like Lord-level specimens from their color and size. Supervisor Zhang's expression changed. "With your talent, the training camp is absolutely the right place for you. If you want to take these materials back, I can pretend I didn't see them." "Process them here," Yang Wu said. "Help me with the combat achievement assessment and recertify my title." To qualify as a god of war, one had to submit the most important materials from 2 Lord-level monsters and prove they'd been killed personally. No one at the camp lied about that. Titles meant nothing without the power to back them up. "If you insist, I'll say no more." Supervisor Zhang nodded and called for the testing equipment. The machines analyzed the specimens and determined their grades, which would feed into the rank assessment. "Mr. Yang Wu," the supervisor said with a touch of respect. She herself was only a novice-level god of war. "The 2 intermediate Lord-level Vajra apes are valued at 6 billion yuan, with a contribution value of 3 million points. And the Tyrannosaurus is valued at 400 million yuan, with a contribution value of 200,000 points. Altogether, you can receive 6.4 billion yuan and 3.2 million contribution points." Selling to the Dojo of Limits was disadvantageous on price. If he'd sold the Vajra apes to the HR Alliance instead, they could fetch 9 billion yuan, bringing the total to 9.6 billion. But the dojo offered far more contribution points. Those 3.2 million, combined with his existing points, would push Yang Wu close to 4-star contribution status. Contribution points no longer mattered much to him. Most goods that could be bought with money had lost their meaning. Under Supervisor Zhang's curious look, Yang Wu completed the combat achievement calculations. His martial artist rank updated. He was now an intermediate war god. All that remained was the formalities to graduate from the training camp. After that, the world, and beyond, would be his to explore. Yang Wu's immediate goal was to reach planetary level. The universe belonged to the truly strong. News spread fast through the camp. Yang Wu had recertified as an intermediate war god and planned to leave. That shocked everyone. He had been here less than 2 months and had just hit first place. Most geniuses stay at the camp 5 years before leaving, someone said. Many of our students already have God of War strength. How many actually become God of War and then leave so soon? What's gotten into Yang Wu? I don't know. Maybe he's already unbeatable and feels lonely. At least he has courage. Who knows what the future holds? They all sensed Yang Wu's unshakable resolve, an unwavering belief that wouldn't retreat. Still, none of them followed his path. Yang Wu's arrival at the top had already exposed the gap between him and the others. While the camp buzzed with speculation, Yang Wu was already on a passenger plane bound for the Australian continent, Oceania. In Asia and Europe, dense populations mean fewer monsters per area, he muttered, flipping through the materials he'd brought. But on the Australian continent, the monster population is huge. Monster hordes are common. He studied the dossiers detailing common monster packs and various lord-level beasts native to Australia. Isolated from other land masses, Australia had developed unique and numerous terrestrial monsters, rat-type, badger-type, and many species unseen on other continents. Before the Great Nirvana, Australia was famous for its biodiversity. Afterward, the monster varieties only multiplied. Crossbreeding and mutation had produced many terrifying creatures. Hongning Bay City didn't attract king-level monsters because Hong could easily kill them. But there was no Hong in the Australian continent, and with sheer numbers came many king-level monsters gathered there. Yang Wu knew he had to be extra careful. Monster hordes, especially groups centered around lord-level or king-level beasts, could be deadly. Chapter 54, Kirishima and the Spirits of Plants. When large numbers of lord-level monsters gather in one area, the safest choice is to keep your distance. A concentration of lords sharply increases the chance that a king-level monster is nearby. Once Yang Wu's base strength reached the peak of the war god level, he knew he would eventually hunt king-level monsters, but not yet. The plane landed. The cabin door opened, and people filed out. Yang Wu stepped onto the ground and felt his vision open, an endless stretch of wilderness, a sea of green. Vegetation was abundant and lush. In the distance, he could make out the faint silhouettes of monsters. The cities were gone from Australia, but at least the mountain ranges remained. Maps were almost useless now, muddled by shifting monster territories, but the broad features of the land were still there. He didn't worry about exact directions. The priority was Fog Island, home to herbal spirits. Those spirits could greatly improve his physical constitution and help him reach the peak of the war god level much faster. In the original timeline, Fog Island had been in a lake about 100 li in circumference. Even if the detailed maps were unreliable, the terrain probably hadn't changed much. He only needed to find a lake within roughly 1,000 li radius. The wind bent the tall grasses, revealing many monsters grazing with their heads down. There were carnivores and herbivores, and a single common trait: most were highly aggressive. Yang Wu moved like a blur over them without disturbing a single beast. He was traveling. He didn't attack unless attacked. Australia was thick with flying and land predators, and being swarmed by a beast horde was a real danger, so keeping on the move was safer. He was lucky. On the second day, he found a large troop of ape-like monsters in the second mountain range. The presence of a high-level lord known as the King Kong ape confirmed that he'd found the Ape Mountain Range, an important landmark. Yang Wu's goal was Fog Island. He had no intention of provoking the King Kong ape. Besides the King Kong ape, there were 2 early lord-level great-strength demonic apes in the group, enemies that would take far too much effort to fight. There are plenty of monsters in Australia, and many lord-level ones too, Yang Wu thought with a faint smile. If I want to accelerate my cultivation, this place is prime. After marking the range on his satellite map, he found a river 3 kilometers to the south. Following that river downstream about 200 kilometers, the map showed a large lake, the one that held Fog Island. He carved a route on the map, leaped down the mountainside, and headed south along a canyon. Yang Wu swam the river for hours and by afternoon arrived at the lake. It was roughly 100 li in circumference, and strange cries echoed from beneath the water. Underwater monsters. Mist rolled over the lake. After 2 days of searching, he'd finally found Fog Island. The sun stood high, but the lake itself was shrouded in thick, endless fog. The deeper you went toward the lake's heart, the denser the mist. Even with war god-level eyesight, Yang Wu could barely see more than 100 meters. Strangely, though, the mist thinned near the shores. The land beside the lake had no fog at all. Human martial artists are weakened in water, but aquatic monsters are not. They can fight at full strength in their element. With so many high-level monsters in the water, entering from the lake itself was out of the question. He advanced cautiously and still faced several sudden attacks along the way, but eventually reached the island at the lake's center. Fog Island was wrapped in mist year-round, but beneath it was a primeval forest, tall, thick trees, and endless foliage. Walking through the jungle, the strangest thing was its silence. Despite all the monsters around the lake, there were none on the island. The lack of roars made the place eerily quiet. Yang Wu knew why. The island was packed with herbal spirits. Dense trees, dazzling flowers, and thorny bushes made the island look vibrant, but that life hid grave danger. After the Great Nirvana, most mutated creatures had been animals. Humans themselves were animals, while plants rarely mutated. Fog Island was an exception. It hosted many mutated plants, the so-called herbal spirits. Each carried the essence of heaven and earth and had special properties. On this island alone, there were 9 willow tree herbal spirits. The weakest among them was at least a 1,000-year willow heart, and the best could be called a 10,000-year willow heart. Yang Wu remained on constant alert as he pushed deeper into the jungle. Herbal spirits did not let themselves be harvested without a fight. He'd just been assaulted by a wild grass herbal spirit, and after dispatching it, collected it into his bag. After some more walking, he finally saw what he'd come for. Willow trees. 9 towering willow trunks filled a flat clearing. The thinnest was about 1 meter in diameter. The largest was 3 meters thick. Their countless branches swayed in the wind, but what caught Yang Wu's eye were the branches on the biggest tree. They glowed a pale gold. He recognized the appearance. The willow spirits had been described in his research, and any tree with golden branches was special. 9 herbal spirits, Yang Wu murmured. One of them is definitely 10,000-year level. He decided to try for a 1,000-year willow heart first. Taking on the Willow Tree King could wait. It would not be easy. The Willow Tree King's attack power was terrifying. Its golden branches, rooted in the main trunk, stretched hundreds of meters long. They could entangle and crush foes and were incredibly tough. And there were countless golden branches, nearly 10,000 of them. Yang Wu's expression grew serious as he began to plan how to harvest what he needed without being torn apart by those miles of living willow. Chapter 55. Harvesting Willow Hearts. The other willows were slightly weaker, so dealing with them wouldn't have been too difficult. But these were clustered so closely and guarded by the Willow Tree King that no ordinary advanced war god could hope to get a millennial willow heart from them. Take your time, Yang Wu thought. The Willow Tree King can't protect them forever without revealing a flaw. If it came down to it, he'd wear them down. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, he'd keep at it until he had that herbal spirit heart. If all else fails, I'll report it to the martial arts hall, he admitted, though that was a last resort. For now, he would try on his own. After deciding, Yang Wu walked forward and stopped roughly 400 to 500 meters out. The Willow Tree King's branches reached 200 to 300 meters. For a drawn-out fight, he needed room to avoid being pinned down. His current cultivation sat at the war god level, powerful, but not invincible, so he would test the waters first. As he approached, the 9 herbal spirits billowed with billions of willow branches. The air filled with a furious whoosh as the branches flicked out like countless threads coiling toward him at speeds far beyond sound. Dodging them would have been difficult for most, but Yang Wu, clad in his 9 Series black god suit, stood steady. The strike of a Willow Tree King branch could rival the furious chop of an advanced war general, while a millennial Willow's attack was closer to a novice war general's blow. With his suit, he felt no real danger. "Not bad," he murmured, then exploded into motion. He raised his blade and moved like lightning, feet tapping in a blur. Before the Willow Tree King's branches could fully encircle him, he had leapt in front of a millennial herbal spirit willow. He dropped low, coiled his body, and struck. Blade light flashed, faster and sharper than lightning, sweeping several meters with a freezing chill. The sound of steel meeting wood rang out. The millennial willow toppled under a single stroke. The blade light vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Yang Wu spared it no second glance and lunged toward another. He felled that one too, with the same speed. But almost at once, the remaining willows erupted, a maelstrom of branches whipping toward him. From the thick, central Willow Tree King, a trunk 3 meters across, faint golden branches shot out by the 10,000. Hundreds of meters long, they unfurled and closed over him, slamming into the 9 Series suit. Yang Wu's face hardened. He shoved the millennial willow hard away and backpedaled, narrowly avoiding the enveloping golden strands. The branches spread and pressed in, overwhelming. He pushed off the ground, launching himself in a wild leap. His spine bent like a drawn bow, then snapped back. The willow branches cracked the earth beneath him as he streaked away, leaving a smear of after-images as he fled hundreds of meters. Despite his retreat, hundreds of branches still lashed out, and he cried, "Break!" The SS-grade Blood Shadow battle blade whirled around him, slicing at the golden willows. He'd pushed his speed to the limit and hadn't fully unleashed his strength, but each swing would have been lethal to an ordinary intermediate war god. The blade cut through branch after branch, but every strike felt like cleaving top-tier material. The Willow Tree King's branches possessed astonishing toughness. From the feedback of his blade, each limb could probably take the furious chop of an intermediate war god and still hold. Even so, Yang Wu's rotating assault severed a great number of branches and opened a path. He swung and surged, but the willow network kept coming. The more he cut, the more he realized the scale of his problem. If I get wrapped up in these thousands of branches, I'm in trouble, he thought. That Willow Tree King alone can beat a normal advanced war god. No wonder in the original story those 4 people spent over an hour and still hadn't cleared all its branches, and 3 of them were peak war gods in black god suits. 2 options presented themselves: destroy the root system or sever the main trunk. But the golden branches were 200 to 300 meters long, plunging deep into the ground to shield both roots and trunk. A tree that size would have a far-reaching, well-protected root system. Destroying it would be even harder than cutting off the trunk. The Willow Tree King had understood he wasn't to be trifled with. After the initial assault, it retracted its strands and coiled them tightly around its main trunk. That retraction changed everything. "Good," Yang Wu said to himself. "That's the chance I was waiting for. I don't intend to grind it to death slowly. If it's protecting the trunk, then I'll go straight for the trunk." He moved like a flash, darting toward another millennial willow. The Willow Tree King lashed out one more time, willow branches forming a ferocious siege. Amid the whistling of wind and the howl of shredded leaves, Yang Wu's blade light cleaved through the air like thunder. The millennial willow split, and its willow heart tumbled to the ground. Chapter 56. Babada's Concern. Some willow branches still lashed out, but the main trunk had already fallen. "Who?" Yang Wu exhaled sharply. After that last extreme burst, he glanced at the final herbal spirit he'd felled behind him and let out a long breath. Even with his god of war peak physique, those consecutive surges had been taxing. The herbal spirits clustered too close to the Willow Tree King. If they had entangled him, escape would have been difficult. He had forced out everything he had, and now his condition had inevitably slipped. The Willow Tree King's interference made killing the remaining herbal spirits far harder. Yang Wu didn't panic. His primal energy consumption wasn't excessive, and his body was already beginning to recover. "I've still got time to play with you," he laughed after a short rest, and launched forward again. Underground on the Yunmo planet warship, Babata stood before an unfamiliar console. Its detection system swept a radius of 20,000 meters. In the original records, this early warning system could identify every human's strength, potential level, and brain domain breadth. Yang Wu had already entered its range, so Babata was watching closely. "It's a pity he's not a psyker master," Babata said with disappointment and a helpless expression. The readings made him even more perplexed. And his brain domain breadth isn't high, so how is his power exertion level this high? Brain domain breadth measured cerebral development. The higher it was, the greater the innate comprehension. Most Earthlings in the Devouring the Heavens world were ordinary. Few exceeded even a single point. Yang Wu's breadth was low, yet his bronze-level comprehension surpassed most. Even more baffling, he had mastered perfect-level body movement and displayed an unusually high power exertion level. Babata stared at the figure on the screen. Yang Wu had just dispatched another herbal spirit and could not hide his disbelief. How could someone with such poor brain domain breadth and weak genetic gifts comprehend such advanced body movement and possess that level of power? Babata muttered to himself. Perhaps the youth had undergone a great lucky break. But with such low bloodline, genes, and brain domain breadth, his upper limit was simply too low. Someone like this can't be cultivated, he concluded. He continued watching the battle, unaffected. He had no way of knowing that Yang Wu would grow ever more terrifying with time. Back on the field, the Black God suit demonstrated yet another feature beyond forming weapons. When worn, it could bond to the skin and draw blood. Part of the suit along the back twisted and reconfigured itself into the shape of a backpack. That was why Yang Wu bothered with ordinary packs at all, or even with an SS-grade combat suit. "I'll take it," he muttered as he moved. Yang Wu flickered through the ruins of the forest, casually tossing the last slain herbal spirit away. Once he cleared the Willow Tree King's attack range, he frowned. The forest looked as if a bulldozer had passed through, gullies and torn earth everywhere. No need to finish the Willow Tree King now. 8 herbal spirits will do for the moment, he thought. In the original account, the cloud-caressing vine had appeared only after too many herbal spirits were killed. Yang Wu planned not to risk summoning it. He would leave before things escalated. He shook off dirt and grass clippings from the Black God suit and slipped away like a ghost. Babata watched his retreat, expression unchanged. He's not a psyker master. He must have had a fortunate encounter. Babata repeated to himself, but with those genetic and cognitive limits, his ceiling is too low. He did not foresee how wrong that judgment would be. Yang Wu selected the largest find among the spoils, a millennial willow heart from a herbal spirit nearly 1.8 meters in diameter. His eyes lit up. The green crystal's inner structure shimmered like liquid, and even at a glance, it stirred him. Holding it made his pulse quicken. A cool sensation seemed to seep through his skin. The millennial willow heart increased cell activity and improved physical fitness, 2 powerful effects. For Yang Wu at his current stage, it was an ideal treasure. Even rarer items like a Muya crystal would be wasted on him now. He was still some distance from planetary level. A Muya crystal consumed by someone who couldn't absorb it could explode catastrophically. From God of War peak to beyond War God and on to planetary level was an enormous jump, and many got stuck at advanced War God. Yang Wu knew that a God of War peak who could absorb a Muya crystal would likely soar to planetary level, but for the moment he intended to stay at God of War peak and proceed cautiously. The Willow Heart's outer crystal shell was extremely tough. The inner liquid was the essence. To use it, one had to pierce the shell and drink the inner essence. The process was said to be painless and even pleasurable. The time required depended on how much one's strength increased. "I need a safe place," Yang Wu decided. He looked around, then stepped onto the soft earth nearby. It gave way under his weight like tofu, and he plunged down, driving aside rock and mud as he descended. The debris closed up behind him. With the Blood Shadow battle blade clearing the way, he carved out a cave 20 to 30 meters deep. "One might not be enough," he mused. "Let's try 2. He had 8 herbal spirits worth of treasures, more than enough to push him through God of War peak. With a practiced strike, the 2 willow heart shells split and the green essence gurgled out. Yang Wu gulped it down. The liquid coursed down his throat and into his body, and an immediate wave of cool comfort filled him, even shaking his soul. No pain, only comfort, he thought, feeling the essence begin to work. Chapter 57. Advanced Tasks. Yang Wu lay motionless in the rock cave, feeling subtle shifts run through his body. So comfortable, he thought. My whole body, tendons, bones, skin, is trembling. He remembered the agonizing pain the first time he used dragon blood. Being able to grow stronger without suffering made him quietly elated. Under the dim glow of his communication watch, he could even see the skin on his hands trembling in tiny, rapid waves. Through his pores, wisps of gray-black matter seeped out. The sensation was strange, cool, penetrating, as if all the flesh had loosened from his bones and was being rhythmically massaged. It was a continuous, pleasant vibration. Inside him, the life essence of the millennial willow heart flowed outward and instantly saturated every part of his body. That boundless vitality precipitated astonishing changes in his cells. Tendon, bone, and muscle tissue developed with the sudden springing force of a sapling into a towering tree. Cells were transforming on an unimaginable scale, genes splicing, discarding useless sequences, recombining into a more perfect whole. The process raced forward. It seemed his genes had absorbed a trace of the millennial willow's nature, creating distinct genetic changes. Cellular activity surged. Under that vitality, Yang Wu's entire physique enhanced rapidly. Tendons and bones upgraded in quality. Muscles and skin altered in surprising ways. Yet there was no pain, only a deep, relaxing pleasure like a massage. His physical strength soared. Where a basic punch had once measured over 70,000 kilograms of force, he now climbed through tiers. General Beginner. God of War, 96,000 kilograms. Peak Beginner God of War, 128,000 kilograms. General Intermediate God of War, 192,000 kilograms. Peak Intermediate God of War, 256,000 kilograms. General Advanced God of War, 384,000 kilograms. Peak Advanced God of War, close to 500,000 kilograms. He knew that heavenly treasures like the herbal spirit and dragon blood stop raising your basic physical limits once you reach God of War peak. Lying flat 2,000 to 3,000 meters down in the rock cavern, Yang Wu finally moved. He checked his watch and smiled, dirt streaking his face. That transformation only took an hour. He threw a casual punch. The air detonated. My casual punch now equals the full power I used to need the 9 heavy Thunderblade for, he muttered. I've reached God of War peak. He rubbed his chin. The dragon blood and the millennial willow heart pushed me to the edge of planetary level. There was no doubt in his mind. The surge of gene power and strength in his dantian and body was far beyond what it had been. It was overwhelming. But the increase to apprentice levels is essentially incremental, built on your original foundation. Reaching the peak, however, is a limit. Without crossing it, you cannot increase basic strength further. Crossing it, though, elevates your life level into the planetary tier, from Planetary 1 up to Planetary 9. An alert popped up in his mind as if from the world's system. Physical fitness has reached the limit that the current life level can withstand, triggering the advancement mission, Life Leap. Mission Brief. The Life Leap is a transformation of life. This change is far more significant than any previous breakthrough. External conditions referenced, reference complete, mission generated. Optional Mission 1, breakthrough independently. Mission completion reward, none. Optional Mission 2, forge an extraordinary planetary-level body with 3 million days of cultivation. Mission completion reward, life gene level increased to 3 times that of an ordinary person. Completing any one of the optional missions will be considered as completing the advancement mission, Life Leap. Yang Wu's eyes brightened. The second optional mission was tempting. Any ordinary strongman breaking into the planetary level was impressive. But increasing his life gene level 3-fold was an enormous advantage. The distant realms, Undying, Venerable, Universe Lord, all required boosted life genes. He had once considered studying the 9 Calamities Secret Manual, a core inheritance of the Jin Kingdom that could raise life gene levels. Mastering its first stage tripled life gene levels. Even becoming a blood warrior by integrating 3 blood river crystals only doubled your life gene level. Compared with those, the mission's reward was staggering. But the catch was enormous. 3 million days of cultivation to forge this extraordinary body. He frowned, then a grin crept across his face. That's a grind, but it's all time. I can do it. He thought about the coming rat tide. Other gods of war might die in it, but he wouldn't, thanks to the black god suit. Even if he ended up in the rat tide's core, he could survive with proper handling. 3 million days was a long stretch, but given the value of a tripled life gene level, he would accept the grind. It's time to move on, he decided. Babada's on Mist Island, but he didn't come to see me. No point lingering. He shook his head. The Yunmo planet inheritance had been intended for Luo Feng. If Yangwu didn't get it, he would only feel regret. He also didn't plan to harvest all the herbal spirit. Doing so might attract the terrifying cloud-caressing vine, as in the original tale. Even with his increased strength now, facing that vine would mean certain death. I'll live alone on the Australian continent from now on. Ruined cities served martial artists well as places to rest, plenty of buildings and secluded houses. The vast wasteland of the Australian continent, however, was a different matter. Solitude there could be a headache. Time passed. In the central hinterland of the Australian continent, in a mountain hollow about a mile from a herd of Mang oxen, Yang Wu settled down. After leaving Mist Island, he had roamed the continent, hunting various fierce beasts. He avoided seeking out king-level monsters. He didn't feel ready for them yet. Now he sat by a bonfire, roasting the huge hind leg of an unknown beast. He took a bite, chewed thoughtfully. Not bad, but just so-so, he said, patting his full stomach. All right, it's almost time to head back. Chapter 58, Rat Outbreak. Yang Wu returned to Jiangnan Base City first, then made his way to City 0231. The rat tide originated nearby, and he planned to wait inside the city. According to the book's account, the rat tide started around City 0231, information that significantly narrowed his search. Ordinary beast soldier rats weren't intelligent, but they were countless and attacked in a loosely organized tide. That meant there were almost certainly beast general-level rats directing them. If he could find beast generals together with a large concentration of beast soldiers, that would mark the origin of the rat tide. He walked quickly through the ruined streets and reached the suburbs in 10 minutes. He didn't draw his blade. Instead, he moved steadily through the overgrown blocks, scanning for monsters on his electronic map. More than searching, he was provoking small movements, making subtle appearances to see what would come out. A lone beast soldier or a small pack would occasionally rush at him. They were easy enough to dispatch. They were fools, and killing them still yielded cultivation. Yang Wu killed them casually. He couldn't forget his main objective, though. In a deserted urban village he spotted figures on the second floor of a residential building, tiger cats, mutated and larger than the rat monsters. There were almost no rat monsters in that area. Perhaps the tiger cats had cleared them out. He slipped away at once. He didn't want to stumble into a large, concentrated horde while he was still hunting for the rat tide source. He continued to act cautiously, avoiding unnecessary commotion, but the isolated monsters of the county town paid the price. Yang Wu dispatched many with little effort, and over time, he learned how much cultivation different monsters below planetary level provided. The yields followed a clear pattern: 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. No matter how unusual a beast soldier looked, if it was a beast soldier, it never dropped beast general cultivation. Cultivation yield depended on level rather than a monster's outward title. Beast generals and lords gave more cultivation, but they were rare. The numerical mass of beast soldiers made them the steady source of most of his gains. 2 days of searching passed. Yang Wu sighed inwardly. He hadn't expected it to take that long, and yet he had found nothing definitive. Still, the trip had been worthwhile. He'd acquired a considerable amount of cultivation and, most importantly, identified several likely origins of the rat tide. First, the northern suburb. It had the most beast general level rats and relatively few beast soldiers. Second, to the west, near City 231, former fertile lands now infested with both beast soldiers and a number of beast generals. Third, to the east, a mountainous area thick with beast soldiers but few beast generals. Fourth, to the south along both banks of a river. Any of the 4 places could be the true origin. In the original story, God of War Liu Gang had died inside the city, so perhaps multiple rat-tide origins had converged inside City 0231. Otherwise, someone as fast as a God of War could have escaped easily. In the original account, Wan Dong, Luo Feng, and the others escaped. Liu Gang's fate had come down to bad luck. He hadn't found Liu Gang during his search, but now he resolved to wait. He stayed quiet in the city. He didn't want to make noise that might cause the rat tide to fizzle or fail to appear. On the afternoon of November 29th, he finally noticed the signs. A vast number of rat monsters were becoming agitated. The rat tide was about to form. A rat tide, or rat disaster, was lethal. Even a war god level expert could be overwhelmed and killed if surrounded by an endless tidal mass. Yang Wu's eyes narrowed. He didn't fear dying. To him, this chaos could be another source of cultivation. The dark, writhing mass to the north wasn't infinite, but it was enormous. It covered the entire highway in width and ran for several hundred meters. By the book's grades, it was a Class 3 rat tide, lower than Class 1 or 2 beast tides, meaning the total number of monsters might be up to the tens of millions. Judging by the density and the small size of each rat, roughly 30 centimeters long, this particular tide probably contained nearly 1 million creatures, already a dangerous swarm. All right, Yang Wu thought. He put away his binoculars and leaped from the rooftop. Black membrane spread over his body in an instant, forming a tight battle suit and helmet that left only his eyes exposed. On the road toward the suburbs, a lone figure was fleeing frantically in the distance. The man ran and sometimes leapt hundreds of meters at a time, an astonishing speed. Yang Wu didn't know him personally, but he recognized the pace of a war god-level expert. The figure's speed exceeded supersonic levels. Behind him, the ground churned as an overwhelming tide of beast soldier rats poured up and forward, pushing a dark living wave across the landscape. The fleeing man had abandoned heavy gear, blade, shield, everything, choosing raw speed and flight over a stand. When the rat tide came, rather than running toward Base City, he ran into the abandoned sprawl of City 0231. Surrounded by that endless sea of small, relentless bodies, even a war god could be driven to desperate measures. Yang Wu watched, ready to see how the approaching disaster would unfold and how he might turn the tide, literally, into more cultivation. Chapter 59, Liu Gang, Yang Wu, is a good person. Wait, is he running toward me? Yang Wu watched Liu Gang sprinting toward the city center with a puzzled look. So naive, no wonder he'll die. The rat tide was terrifying, a dense black wave stretching for tens of kilometers. Each rat beast was about 30 centimeters long, and this surge from the northern suburbs had already gathered millions, qualifying it as a level 3 rat tide. Army, hurry! This area is near the military zone, but the northern suburbs have to pass through the city to reach the supply point. Why hasn't the army arrived yet? Run! Liu Gang tore off down the highway. Yang Wu's eyes caught a dark blur rushing toward them and brightened. Is that the Black God suit? With the Black God suit, no matter what, it could push someone to War God level combat power. 2 War Gods fighting together, plus a suit nearly invincible against King level monsters and below, would greatly improve their chances of survival. Rat monsters of all sizes poured forward, charging Yang Wu and Liu Gang. Yang Wu's eyes glittered. He planted his feet and stomped. In 3 zhang, dirt, rocks, and dust shot into the air. A rolling thunderclap broke the sound barrier as he blasted forward, leaving a long gouge of torn earth behind. Normally, below planetary level, an individual's strength can be overwhelmed by a beast tide, but Yang Wu was aggressive and well-practiced, and his cultivation kept rising, so he felt no fear. He moved like a storm, whipping up gusts 70 to 80 zhang high in a single bound. Bang! 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 Crack! Crack! Rumble. Houses collapsed, bodies were torn apart, blood sprayed everywhere. Killed a junior beast soldier, dropped 1 day of black iron level cultivation. Killed a mid-level beast soldier, dropped 2 days of black iron level cultivation. Killed a junior beast soldier, dropped 1 day of black iron level cultivation. Squeak, squeak. Countless shrill cries filled the air. Blood gurgled as injured beast soldiers spilled fresh red. The disciplined rat tide instantly dissolved into chaos, terrified creatures scattering in panic. A beast general suddenly materialized, over 2 meters long, hulking like a black ox. It slammed the ground, the earth trembled. Roar! Its roar carried to the sky. Though many beast soldiers had broken ranks at Yang Wu's onslaught, the general's command drove them on, and they continued their frenzied advance. Lu Gang's face went pale, his heart thudded, and his hair stood on end. But he was a martial artist, and his reflexes were strong. He recovered quickly and resolved to fight to the death to find a way out. He roared, channeling all his power, and then began imitating Yang Wu, smashing through buildings and slaughtering beast soldiers. Yang Wu watched Lu Gang's savage efficiency with a stab of pain. You won't even get the cultivation drops if I kill them," he muttered. He had a moment of indecision, whether to curse or not, but the beast general's presence compels the rat tide to refocus and press the attack. Yang Wu had no intention of holding back. He charged straight through the tide. Houses collapsed, and the wave of beasts that had barely reformed was bisected by his path. In only a few breaths, he'd carved through hundreds of zhang, leaving death and destruction in his wake. That scene cowed other beast soldiers preparing to pounce. Their advance slowed. To them, Yang Wu was terrifying. At the instant Yang Wu moved, the four massive snake-like formations in the rat tide unfurled their tongues and lunged like bolts from a drawn bow, targeting where Lu Gang had stood. They bit into empty air. Lu Gang used Yang Wu's distraction to cut down more beast soldiers. "I'll cover the rear," Yang Wu declared firmly. "You find a chance to run. There are too many rat monsters. Don't take them head on." "But..." "No buts." Yang Wu's voice carried disappointment when he watched Lu Gang hesitate. "I'm strong, and I have the Black God suit. I won't die. Go get reinforcements or find the army. That way, you can save more people." Yang Wu felt transcendent in that moment, as if a god had descended, unstoppable and luminous. Lu Gang looked at him, and suddenly, Yang Wu seemed more admirable than ever. In a flash, Lu Gang felt ashamed of his earlier judgment. "Thank you," he blurted. "I owe you my life." Seeing Yang Wu's resolve, Lu Gang stopped arguing. He knew the truth. Trapped in the center of a rat tide, not even two war gods were guaranteed to survive. Staying could even make him a liability. He understood Yang Wu's reason for staying. The cultivation gained from confronting such a tide would be enormous. For a transcendent body, it might be crucial. In the original story, Lu Gang had once slain millions of rat monsters alone, and Yang Wu was stronger than Lu Gang now. It started. "Draw their attention, and I'll slip away when you can," Lu Gang said, eyes hardening. Lu Gang was stunned by Yang Wu's selflessness. He stood for a long moment, struggling for words, then made his choice. He wanted to put as much distance between himself and the tide as possible, but Yang Wu moved toward the rat tide instead. Lu Gang's eyes welled. "He's truly a good, selfless person," he thought, feeling his earlier petty judgments crumble. His admiration edged into worry. Can he really hold out until reinforcements arrive? Lu Gang clenched his fists. Gods of war were like gods to ordinary people, but this rat tide was something else. Even war gods were wise to avoid it from a distance. He felt a deep unease. If he hadn't taken this path, maybe Yang Wu wouldn't be fighting in the center of the tide. Still, Lu Gang couldn't force the issue. Martial artists were resolute. If Yang Wu insisted on staying, pushing him to leave would only be harm in disguise. Perhaps if he found a chance to escape, the other man might survive. Lu Gang felt a sudden lump in his throat, an unpleasant choking sensation. Such a kind-hearted person was about to be swallowed by the rat tide, and he didn't even know his name. It was infuriating. Righteous people like that were becoming rare. Yang Wu stared at the rat tide massed before him, secretly exhilarated. His speed was terrifying. With a single bound, he dove into the sea of rats. His reserves of original force and physical power were ample enough to withstand the onslaught of those beast soldiers. Not far in front of him loomed towering utility poles, dozens of meters high. City 0231. Today it might be gone, he murmured coldly, sneering at the surrounding rat monsters. He stomped once. The impact detonated like a cannon. His body hurtled forward, gouging a deep, perfectly straight trench in the earth. A wall of displaced air flared up and shoved the rat tide aside. He slammed alongside a utility pole. The rats caught under the shock were crushed, tossed like rag dolls. Then Yang Wu sprang up and drove his foot into the middle of the pole. The pole came down with a cascade of shrieks. The beast soldiers were packed so tightly they had no time to dodge. Bones shattered, organs ruptured. They vomited blood and died, and their deaths converted into cultivation energy. Rat corpses littered the ground. For a moment, the entire battlefield fell into an uneasy, stunned silence. Even the beast soldiers who had been pursuing Lu Gang faltered, taking a step back. A few of the beast generals glanced over, then barked orders and rallied their forces. The ground trembled, dust choking the sky, and the rat monsters roared as they surged toward Yang Wu again. He lifted the utility pole. This pole must have weighed several 100,000 kilograms, far larger than his own body, and carried it as if it were a stick. Yang Wu's strength had reached the peak of God of War level, a basic punch force equivalent to 500,000 kilograms. To him, that pole felt only slightly heavy. He strode forward with each stride, covering over 10 meters, swinging the massive pole and smashing through buildings and monsters as though they were paper. Where he went, ruins remained. Low-rises and high-rises alike collapsed under his blows. The monsters felled by the falls kept piling up. Each kill released cultivation, small units at first, then vast amounts as millions of beast soldiers fell. Days, tens of thousands of days, then hundreds of thousands, then millions of days' worth of black iron-level cultivation streamed into him. His cultivation numbers surged, past 3 million days, then 5 million, then into the tens of millions. The sensation of power, of being able to absorb so much, was intoxicating, but his original force and physical strength were nearly exhausted. His black god suit's invincible defense was the only thing keeping him alive. Yang Wu wavered, drained and staggering, when a booming laugh echoed from the sky. His eyes lit up. Deep blue shadows flew across the horizon, at first glance like a flock of birds, then clearly disc-shaped flying warplanes. One of them dove toward the battlefield. The plane hovered 100 meters above the swarm, and Yang Wu, gathering the last of his strength, leapt and caught onto it. From the bellies of the hundreds of planes, huge cannon muzzles pointed down. A torrent of searing flame spewed out, an inferno that must have reached thousands of degrees. Rat beasts caught in it incinerated instantly. The rat tide, which had been focused on Yang Wu, shattered into panic and retreat beneath that blaze. The warplane carrying Yang Wu broke free of the chaos and flew for the military zone's martial artists supply base. When they landed, a large number of martial artists were assembled at the base entrance. It had been a terrible day for the supply base. Many fighting civilians had died while Yang Wu drew away the main force of the rat tide. The entire base city had been placed under martial law. Yang Wu knew that since his rampage, many people would try to recruit him, to bind him to their side. The next morning, the temperature was bitter. A crowd had gathered outside Yang Wu's residential compound. Word had spread, videos of him fighting the monsters circulated everywhere, and the Dojo of Limits had no doubt learned of his strength. A talent like him didn't turn up even in the God of War training camp. "Look, that's one of the high-ranking leaders of Jiangnan Base City," someone whispered. "Isn't that the prominent figure we always see on TV? Over there, war god-level powerhouse Zhuge Shan. He's Zhu Tao's elder brother, the Limit Hall supervisor. I didn't expect him to come too.